Hey guys, Ron here, and we're back at it again turning stupid things into Pokemon. And there's nothing stupider than a mega corporation. This idea has been requested for so long, and I finally got around to doing it a few months ago. And since there are more than 4 famous companies out there, I thought I'd turn some more brands, chains, and franchises into Pokemon. McDonald's, Google, Coca-Cola, Microsoft, they're all fair game. Obviously, since these entities aren't tangible objects or animals that I can see and grab with my hands, it's hard to even picture what an Ikea or Amazon Pokemon would look like. So I had to think out of the box. But I think I successfully integrated aspects of these brands in a recognizable way, so please let me know how you think I should turn any other companies into Pokemon in a potential part 3. But that will only happen if you leave a like, comment, and of course subscribe if you haven't. Keep in mind, none of the companies I'm turning into Fakemon in this video are in any way being promoted here. This is not an endorsement of these brands at all, and in some cases I heavily disapprove of their practices. That didn't stop me from making a dope Amazon Pokemon in the previous video, and it won't stop me today. But before we begin, I'm gonna make an extra Fakemon that represents a brand that I actually do like. Today's sponsor, Shippin. Shippin is an online service that allows you to buy international products that you otherwise wouldn't be able to. On Shippin, you get to pick a host from any country that you are trying to buy a product from, have the package sent straight to them, which they then send directly to you. It's that simple. They'll even show you pictures of your products when they arrive at your host, so you get that extra confirmation that everything is all safe and sound and that the package is on its way, as well as the ability to ask the host any questions before they finally ship it to you, just in case you're an anxious buyer like me. Their website even has a blog and shipping calculator so that you can strategically work within your budget. I've recently been getting into buying and making those Pokemon model kits, many of which aren't sold in the US. So buying straight from a Japanese website expands the possibilities of all the merch I can buy with Shippin. And it's not just nerdy Japanese stuff. You can get fashion, electronics, home decor, makeup, or snacks from so many different countries. That's why the Fakemon you see on screen is one I created based on Shippin's logo. I turned it into the trustworthy Shippinch from Shippin and Pinch, since when it closes its wings, it can turn into a box in order to defend itself. In battle, it will swiftly close its wings to pinch the opponent. They take extra care of any item that their trainer gives them to hold, and Shippinch are used to deliver packages all across the world in a pinch. So if you want such a convenient service that reflects Shippinch's work ethic, go to Shippin and use the code SHIPTRUE15 to get 15% off your purchase. It's TrueGreen7 and Shippinch approved. Now let's begin with a company you might have heard of before. Microsoft, best known for Windows, the operating system that a lot of you guys are watching this video on, at some point the world's largest software maker. And you know how anime has the big 3? Well, Microsoft is part of the big 5 American info tech companies. Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, and of course Microsoft. It's basically the rival to Apple, what many people my age associate with computers. When I was younger, its founder, Bill Gates, was the richest man on earth and was basically synonymous with the word billionaire. But his name is Bill, that's hilarious. It's the company I think of when I think of companies that affected my daily life. Nowadays it's not as important, but it's still legendary. I shouldn't have used that word. We're not making a legendary. The size of a company will not influence its stats. Usually it's the logo that is a huge factor, and considering the window is Microsoft's branding, it won't be very powerful. Windows are very common after all. Let me know if there are any legendary windows out there. I guess the closest we can get to an interesting kind of window is a stained glass window. After all, we gotta use the famous primary colors of the previous Windows logos, and Microsoft themselves understood how well this window translated into a butterfly when they created the MSN Messenger logo. And since we're gonna need a Pokemon to have that recognizable color configuration, I'm gonna make a stained glass butterfly. It's not a new concept, but I'm gonna tie it all together by giving it a technology theme, incorporating aspects of a circuit board. And most importantly, I'm gonna give it the theme of silicon. Silicon is an element that is pretty much the main ingredient in glass and heavily used in electronics. It's the reason why the home of many of the world's largest technology companies is called Silicon Valley. Although keep in mind, Microsoft is not based in Silicon Valley. That's just a secondary fun fact. So it's a long butterfly, relatively anatomically correct in terms of proportions compared to something like a Beautifly or Butterfree, but what I think is cool is that its antennas, legs, and proboscis, or the nose, will be modeled after the traces on a circuit board. You know the lines you see on a circuit board? I don't show images during this part, so you're gonna have to Google it if you haven't seen it, even though I showed it before. While the chest, or thorax, will be modeled after a computer chip, almost like if a computer chip was a sphere. While it wasn't fully intentional, I was thinking of a stylus or tablet pen when designing the abdomen and head. Now it's time for the wings. They're going to be parallelograms with segments that mimic the lines on a butterfly wing, but also stained glass window. Going to refine the design so I can begin adding the iconic window colors. Now's the perfect time to explain why its body is gray and shiny, because it's made of silicon. And most importantly, there will be variation in the wing colors, because that's the most important aspect of a stained glass window. Check out Papillicon, the silica Pokemon, from papillon, French for butterfly, and silicon. a bug rock type with the new ability, Glass Shards. When it's hit with a physical move, it scatters shards of rocks everywhere. It's basically toxic debris with stealth rock. Pepilocon's wings overlap as they fly, creating a rainbow that follows their path. Their nest is full of shiny stones that are used to power many modern-day devices. In battle, they are able to release stored energy from their antennas. Their sharp wings absorb and disperse all forms of light. Their shiny is a reference to modern Windows logos, where it's just 4 blue squares that make up the window. Honestly, not bad. I was scared it was just going to be a basic butterfly with primary colored wings, but combining the glass and technology elements made it feel like an actual concept that could have been done outside of the context of this video. I mean, it's literally a computer bug. I can't believe I just made that connection. Next is the site that I unfortunately use the most behind YouTube, and that is Twitter. It is now rebranded as X after Elon Musk acquired the company, but nobody calls it that. I mean, you still tweet on Twitter, you don't X. What are X posts called now? I don't know. But Twitter was a social media platform that very much affected how people talk and spread info online. It famously has a character limit, so anything you say on Twitter cannot be nuanced. It has to be short and to the point, often lacking any subtlety, unless it's a joke. This makes people online think that anything they say has to fall on one side of an argument or debate. It leads people to be as inflammatory and extreme as possible, especially nowadays with a ton of spam and extremist content. But in its heyday, Twitter was a champion of disseminating news quicker than any platform. When anything happens anywhere on Earth, it'll be posted on Twitter immediately. It's how many people got their news and info. However, that also means that people get info before it's verified, so fake news and propaganda is a huge part of Twitter as well. It's a toxic place with people just yelling at each other, and it'll be reflected in our Pokemon. Obviously, it'll be a bird, not only that, but a messenger bird. An unreliable messenger bird that often lies. Considering the duality of Twitter being a beacon of both peace and war, I'm going to take inspiration from both a dove and a crow, representing life and death. But since this Pokemon is going to be loud and annoying, a kookaburra will be heavily referenced in our design. You've heard this Australian bird before. So I'm basically drawing a less extreme kookaburra. While it'll have some crow and dove aspects, it will have a long beak, big head, small body, and short legs of a kookaburra. It's a bit villainous, so a twirly mustache pattern is on the nose, but appropriate. It's there because I imagine this Pokemon as the cause of some kind of world war in Pokemon like 100 years ago. It'll have a subtle X pattern on its chest to look like a harness, but most importantly the X logo. I'm gonna take this first draft and simplify it, streamline it so it looks more cohesive and even aerodynamic. I want to add a big tail like the bird it's based on, but the bird on the Twitter logo has a short pointy tail, so my tail is basically a mix of both tails. And then talons with barely visible legs like the kookaburra, not because I'm too lazy to draw the legs. It's perfect since the Twitter bird doesn't even have legs. A mixture of Twitter's old colors and the new Dark Mode X colors. Again, this light and dark duality, but it also does make it look like a blue jay, which I'm fine with since they're related to crows. This is Tweetrick, the Deceit Pokemon, a dark flying type with the abilities Frisk, Rattled, and the new ability, Retweet. It's just a copy of Opportunist, Espathra's ability that copies its opponent's stat boosts. Not only is Tweetrick stealing the work of other Pokemon's stat boost, but also stealing the whole concept from Espathra. Tweetrick have the ability to reproduce the sounds they hear. They've been used as swift messenger birds for centuries, until it was revealed that they occasionally lie and cannot be trusted. Tweetrick have been the cause of multiple wars in the past. They are incredibly underhanded in battle, and will often mimic the sound of their opponent's trainer calling out unhelpful moves, confusing their foe in the process. Their shiny is just the current X logo color scheme. I think it's crazy to have a Pokemon that confuses its opponents into thinking that their trainer has given them a command. How is that not a thing? Now that I think of it, that should have been what the new ability did. It makes the opponent have a 1 in 10 chance of using the wrong move, but honestly that would have been broken and competitive, so probably not a good call anyways. Next is the world's largest coffee chain. Starbucks is also responsible for the US's current coffee obsession. I personally have never had Starbucks coffee because I don't drink coffee in general. I don't like coffee, and I have acid reflux, which means that like high quantities of caffeine makes me like gag, apparently. It's probably the reason it takes me at least like 2 hours to start working after I wake up. I'm not a morning person at all. You know how people say, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee? Well, just don't talk to me until it's lunchtime. Starbucks is probably the easiest to turn into a Pokemon, considering they have a mythical creature in their logo that we can combine with a natural plant. So a grass fairy type is most probably the direction we're going in. The two-tailed mermaid mascot of Starbucks is a siren. You know those sea creatures that lure in sailors? So why not make a land siren with coffee beans on it? which it uses to lure and prey. Maybe it uses the coffee beans to energize its allies too. So while many aspects of sea slugs didn't make it into the design, I did think about them while I was drawing. These alien-like eyes make it look more foreign. Their split tails are gonna be roots, almost like this Pokemon is a tree with roots as 2 tentacles. Its hair will be coffee leaves, and the protrusions on its cheeks are inspired by a sea slug's antennas. The original Siren in the logo has a star on her crown, but that felt out of place and too much like a Primarina, so instead I gave it a star in a different style on the forehead. Some coffee beans as ornaments that look like jewelry. I want her to look like a diva. The wavy patterns directly from the logo, and some texture in the hair. The colors are that of a tree, nothing too foreign. Very natural, but obviously still inspired by Starbucks green. Here is Siren, the stimulant Pokemon from Espresso and Siren, a grass fairy type with the abilities Leaf Guard, Sweet Veil, and Harvest. Siren are found in the depths of remote jungles. Their fragrance lures in travelers who are drained from their journey. Siren will offer an energizing beam to those that grovel before it. It will attack those who do not show it respect. It entangles its enemies in its tail roots. It embeds its tails into the ground to absorb enough nutrients in order to instantly grow the beans on its body without utilizing any of its own energy. It has the signature move called Caffeinate. This restores a fourth of its opponent's health, only to harshly lower its attack, special attack, and speed 2 turns later. Is it worth it? I don't know. Let me know if that move would actually be useful in competitive play. Regardless, it's another Pokemon that could exist outside of just being a Starbucks Pokemon. And finally, a company that I do like more than the average person is Ikea. I'm a huge fan of interior design and home decor, so I love going to Ikea. This Swedish company is known for their ready-to-assemble furniture. They're a home goods company with huge stores with a food court at the end that serves some Swedish delicacies. It's the world's largest furniture retailer. Now that may not sound appealing to the younger portion of my audience, so I'm gonna combine it with aliens! Yeah, cool, right? Originally I was gonna make a little alien that lives inside wood and assembles the wood in different configurations to create furniture weapons, but then I decided to go with the ice type and make a little snow boy that creates ice weapons instead. I mean, the snow is definitely heavily associated with Nordic countries like Sweden. And I kind of started by sketching out a terribly drawn table just to see if I can even turn a table into a Pokemon. I just wanted a little alien controlling the table. How about the alien being way more visible and surrounded by the material that becomes the furniture? That's when I put the alien boy in this hovering position and thought that it looks pretty good with icicles forming on it. I gave it fluffy ears that look like earmuffs and another ball of fur on its head and tail that looked like a knitted hat. But most importantly, this disc of ice that floats above it. It looks like a UFO, but for our purpose, it's the base of a table. The legs of the table will be these icicles that form from the disc and that the boy shoots at its opponents, refining the sketch and giving it the color scheme of blue and yellow like Sweden's flag and by extension Ikea's logo. Check out Discold, the chilling Pokemon from Disc, Cold, and Disco. An ice psychic Pokemon with the abilities Weak Armor, Ice Potty, and Levitate. It dances around harsh landscapes with a floating ice disc above it. When spotted, it launches sharp icicles from the spinning disc in every direction. When it's time to rest, its disc becomes a table for it to lie down and eat on. Discold refrigerate berries inside the convex bulb at the bottom of their disc. They are ready to evolve when they can create more complicated structures out of their ice disc. Their shiny is still Sweden colored, but reverse, and it also looks like yellow snow. Let me know what you think an evolved form of Discold would look like. And leave a like if you want to see a part 3, and subscribe for that to really happen. Check out my other Fakemon videos, and the description for the music I used, the t-shirts I made for you guys, and my Patreon, where you can get cool rewards like seeing my videos days early, which you can also do by clicking the join button and becoming a member. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, where I show sneak peeks of these designs, and I'll see you guys very soon.